Oh, you're back in the train station today, Si?
I'm back at the train station. I probably look a bit weird. I always sit here for the fan cams usually, and there's never any trains. So they're probably like, what on earth is this guy doing on an empty train station?
That's what it is.
But
you like to talk to yourself.
It feels like my train station, so that's the thing.
Well, we've sealed sixth place today. We've obviously got the draw against Palace, which was good enough, seeing as Chelsea beat Wolves 2-0. They did us a favour. How do you assess the game overall? I know it was a bit of a drab game, but we got the job done. And how do you assess the season overall?
The game wasn't amazing. There was obviously a bit of importance to it, of course, to try and secure the sixth place. But I think we had obviously help from around us. So, at the end of the day, the job essentially was done, albeit, we could have tried to have won the game a bit more, I think, just for a bit of pride and, to push forward for next season as well, that kind of emphasis of what do we need to do? Let's get that job done and not worry about everyone else, because we've done that so many seasons after season. But yeah, I mean, the season overall is almost like the epitome of today and some other games where, it just hasn't been great, has it? From the very beginning, the first game at Newcastle in the beginning of the season, that wasn't great at all. And it was kind of like that was the snowball effect for the whole season almost. There wasn't really anything that kind of stood out to say, oh, we're on track now, or we're going to kick on now. With the exception perhaps of the last few games, to be honest, I think where we've shown a bit more stability and definitely some ideology into next season that I think Jose is going to bring to the table. This season's just been horrible, really. From a Pochettino situation, obviously not great. And the players obviously still had that poor mentality over the summer from the Champions League last year. I generally believe that's just carried on. It's spilled over too much, and I think the players hopefully now are okay now to just get on with it, guys. That's like nearly a year ago. Come on. It's all about starting next week with some hopeful. Not obviously next week, because we're always terrible at signing players at the beginning. But no doubt we'll have Gareth Bale and all of
wait till the end of October probably to sign someone.
Yeah, all the old players from like 5-6 years ago linked every year, and
Modric back.
Modric, Bale. Let's have the old gang back. Come on, let's go. I think Adebayor's still kicking about somewhere. Let's put him in. Jermaine might still come over or something from Scotland. But of course. But no, let's hope that Jose's obviously got some kind of plan for the summer, some players in his mind. Whether the investment comes along is another story. But to go back to your point about the season, I mean, if you look back at it, there's so many games that we should have done better, obviously, from a Tottenham standard. And what I mean by that is we've kind of built that standard. Sorry, I can't remember his name. A couple of fan cams just a minute ago.
Alex, maybe?
Yeah, I think, about, some certain games. Toby brought it up a while back about this is how far we've come, in the sense that, years and years ago, we would have been like, oh, this is just mediocre Tottenham normally. But now, when we lose a game, it's almost like not the end of the world, because that's a bit over the top, but like it's
disastrous kind of.
Yeah. And I think that's a really, really positive thing of how we have excelled over the 10 years or so to get to that point of mentality. But it's all very well saying that, but we should have done so much better this season, in my opinion, with the players that we've got. Yes, of course, injuries I think have played a massive part, especially for Jose's reign. It's very unfortunate for him. I do believe generally that when he came back in November and he had all these players throughout the rest of the season, we would have sailed to top four, in my opinion. Those first sort of month or two of getting the players into his philosophy, like we have seen in the last few games, to be honest. Come on, it has been a really positive last few games. To be fair, if we had that earlier, I generally believe we would have nailed it early on. I think we've dropped like 8 points from the teams that have been relegated this season, and that's not good enough. Like, it's not been good enough most games as it is, but these are the kind of games that you need to sort of assess the beginning of the season and go, look, we have to be beating these kind of teams. Like, we have to be, to even consider ourselves to be going into the top 4. So in my opinion, I think we deserve to be in 6th. I don't think we deserve to be in the top 4 based on everything. I do believe we would have been top 4 if we had all the players available. I do believe in Jose, and I believe him moving forward 100%. Let's all have a rest now, Sim. Let's all have a chill out. I can stop coming to the train station like a weirdo. And like,
need a break from the train station.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's been a bizarre year in general for everyone. I think we finally got this season out of the way, and let's just all be positive in the sense that I think we'll try and keep as many players as we can because,
I don't think we're selling anyone.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, we've got this whole 5 substitute thing going on now, moving forwards, and also I think like from a fringe player perspective, some of the players aren't absolutely world class or amazing, but I think they're still good enough to be bench players or fringe players or whatever. And that's what we need. We need that depth of, you look at some of the other benches, they don't have an absolutely amazing bench, but they've still got players that they can rely on and come in. There's some youth players I'm sure will come in. So let's just try and hopefully get 1 or 2 decent signings in the right positions that we know we need to fulfill. Because I generally believe the team we've got now is a fantastic foundation to push on to the next level. I know I've been waffling a bit.
It's all right. If you were to give a rating out of 10 for Jose's performance so far since coming in, what would you give it?
I know there's a lot of Jose haters out there still, but for me, I think in general, it's probably going to be 7.5, 8 for me because
that's quite high.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, let's look at it realistically and logically. Like, he's come in November, the team's in absolute dire mess. Motivation has gone out the window, no desire, nothing. It's like I mentioned earlier about the Champions League final, the nightmare still progressing through to the new season. So he's had all that to deal with and try and get them to be a bit calmer and, don't worry, guys, let's just push on. But to have all those injuries along that winter break and everything, we lost so many. Sissoko, Son, Kane. These guys are like, we've seen it in the last few games. These guys are our engine room, basically. 9 times out of 10. And I think in that period, we had some terrible performances, but that's only because we had what we had to deal with in terms of player selection and everything like this. Players playing out of position all over the place, And they've finally come back. We've got a bit of rhythm. We've seen Kane, right? And I said it last week. Kane has come back. People giving him stick because he's not fit and everything and not scoring goals. And then as you've seen gradually, every game, he's got better and better. That's not necessarily Jose's influence. I expect that from Harry anyway because he's phenomenal. But I think that about a lot of the other players as well. Let's look at some players like Mora, where we've had a lot of criticism about, Son on occasion. These guys are gradually, as a team, collectively built back together. Hugo, in my opinion, I always believed that he wasn't a great leader before. And maybe it's because we don't have all the fan noise and stuff that you can actually hear him shouting all the time and everything. We go back to that game where he had to go at Son and everything. That's the kind of passion and desire and the motivation you want within a dressing room to push people to be the best that they can be. And I think that has had it has kind of had an influence from Jose, I think, especially after the conversations that he had behind closed doors. So for me, it is higher because of the situation that we've had. I think 9 and 10 would come into my mind if we did get the top 4. But I think I've been very unrealistic in the situation that we had this season. So I think realistically, like 7.5, probably 7.5.
7.5.
But I'm going to say 8 because I love positivity, and just to give them a boost for next season and the summer. So hopefully they can push 9 and 10.
Who would you give your player of this season to?
It's rather difficult, actually. Well, I wouldn't give it to anyone, to be honest. But I think like Hugo for me probably stands out for out of all of them. just from some of the points I just made a minute ago. Not just from a leader perspective this season, but the saves. Some of them go unnoticed. Some of them, when you look at compilations of things or highlights of matches, they just get kind of brushed away when actually you're sort of sitting there going like, how has this guy just done that? And he does that all the time. And I think he's got rid of all his mistakes really this year. I know there's a couple at the beginning of the season, but that's because he kept being made to play from the back and pass it sideways when really he should be booting it up there and hope that someone heads it down or whatever. So I think he's got a lot of control and confidence back from being able to do what he wants to do and be who he needs to be, which is a world-class goalkeeper who makes these ridiculous saves at the best, the moments when it's needed the most. And the only time I think this season that he's been beaten, Palace today, in my opinion, that was terrible defending that's let him down. But generally, the only thing that's been beating him recently is screamers from out back. And that's what it used to be like a couple of seasons ago. Teams you just couldn't break us down, so they try their luck from out of the box. So yeah, for me, Sam, it's Mr. Hugo Lloris, the captain.
I think he's getting his reputation back, which I like to see. I think I agree with you. I think he's had a great season, especially since his injury, and I think he's getting some respect back on his name. And I think
that's it. Absolutely, 100%.
All right,
love it.
Si, lovely to have you on, mate. Looking forward to seeing you next season as well.
Yeah, I'll see you over the summer. Hopefully, I'm sure. Well, I say summer, whatever's left of it.
But
of course, I'll see
over
you.
The break.
Fingers crossed in September, guys.
All right, looking forward to it, mate. Nice to see you,
guys.
Always.
See you in a bit.
Cheers.